Is your agent a deal maker or an order taker? There are too many agents that don't give opinions and don't give options and don't share information with people that are going through transactions right now. And as a result, that can cost you the whole sale. So we're going to explain exactly how your agent should be deal making on your behalf next. If you get some value out of this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and if you want to schedule a call with our deal-making team and talk about your needs in particular, click on the link in the comments. So deal-making versus order-taking, and this is a real problem I have with the real estate industry right now, where a lot of people can't think on their own. Someone tells them to do something, they do it, they don't give any professional value whatsoever. And that's not really the way you want to be articulating your value as an agent, as an advocate, as a guide in a confusing market. And all markets are confusing for consumers. That's why they come to professionals in the first place. So the deal maker, what they'll do, and there's really, to me, some specific ways you can do this. I'll go over this next, especially when you get into the inspection process. The deal maker says, okay, great, I appreciate your strategy. I'm not sure if these other options are going to be for you, but here's some things that have worked for our clients in the past. And they present all options and let the consumer make the decision, because the consumer is the decision maker. For you watching right now, you're the decision maker in these transactions. Now, as a deal maker, you want to provide all the options, especially options you know that have worked in the past, because we've been through these before. Remember, for all my friends watching right now, the average homeowner moves every 11.8 years. That's a long time. Think about what the world was like almost 12 years ago. Very different. And think about, 2012 at this point? Totally different world, right? So that's step number one, is you want to get someone that's going to give you options instead of just saying yes to whatever you would like and not doing any follow-up and not being proactive. It's a proactive versus reactive approach. So that's the key difference between a deal maker versus an order taker. So with that in mind, where I found this is really critical, and this is a skill that you want to make sure your agent has if you're a consumer watching this right now, understanding how this works once you put together a sale, which is tough enough, and we can go through a lot of different ways to win an offer or how to make sure we're negotiating the best price and terms. But I want to focus on when the deal's done and you're going through inspections, because this is something that has been ignored by a lot of real estate agents since 2020 when the pandemic hit, because people were waiving inspections, right? That's how people were getting homes. So let's say you get a negative inspection report and there's some issues in there and you don't know what it's going to cost, which is really common for a lot of consumers, whether you're the buyer or the seller. A lot of people will look at this and it may sound serious. There might be some alarmist language in there, and this is going to vary from report to report. Some clients, some sellers, some buyers may say, you know what, we're out. Or I'm not dealing with this buyer. I'm going to fix this myself and get it back on the market as a seller. Might scare away a buyer. And that can happen. And walking away from a transaction is a totally acceptable option right now. What I know is that if you investigate these a little more, that is a deal-making tactic. And a lot of agents aren't ready to do that or don't have the skill set to do it. So step one is your agent should have a stable of vendors they are referring you to, meaning they've got a couple great home inspectors that have worked with their clients. They've got general contractors, handymen, electricians, plumbers, environmental specialists for things like radon and asbestos and mold and all those things that can come up in a home. There should be a stable of vendors. That's number one. They should be able to provide you with a vendor list of people they've worked with in the past. Because if they don't have vendors that can correct these things, then we can't really figure out what's going on, can we? So that's number one. Number two, I'm clear an agent, whether you're a seller or a buyer, should take the step of, hey, let's get some actual experts in here after the inspection report, because sometimes the inspectors don't know what things are going to cost. There's not a finite number to them. There's some exploration that needs to get done. This is all very normal. And the agent who's a deal maker, they are going to suggest, hey, let's get some quotes, let's get some real numbers, let's see what it's going to take to correct these issues. It might be more, it might be less, we don't really know. And having that knowledge base to go to an expert that can correct the problem, so you have actual tangible information and costs associated with the challenge in front of you, that's going to be really critical. So that's step two. And step three of being a deal maker is once you have that information, you go through options. Here's option one. Here's option two. Here's option three. Let's talk about all three of them. And here's the one that's probably going to make the most sense for you and your household. And if you don't have an agent that's doing that right now, what other steps are they going to miss that you may not even know about because you move every 12 years. This is what deal making is all about, and that's the kind of agent you want in your corner in a confusing market where you got to navigate home inspections and do these things that kind of fell by the wayside for the first time in my career during the pandemic. And I've been doing this over 2 decades, so it's not the norm to totally ignore home inspections. These issues will come up. They've got to get negotiated. And we've got great agents on our team. Specifically, one agent on our team, Zara, just went through this herself and learned this skill and leaned into it with some guidance, right? Hey, here's the people to talk to about X, Y, and Z issues. And that's what is a deal-making mindset. And remember, you don't have to move ahead with any of this stuff if you're a consumer. What you want to do is know your options so you can choose to move ahead if the terms and numbers fit what you're trying to accomplish. So really dig into this stuff, ask these questions, and make sure you've got someone who's a deal maker in your corner, because those are the people that are going to give you the best options to get the result that you want as a real estate consumer in 2024.